Uyo, uko, kuno, abo, bano. Mama wanna get it, mama wanna get it nice. I know food I miss, I know food I tell, I know Kaya, Mari.
Good Gael. Yes, Doc, how are you?
Very well, Gambakwe. How are you? How have you been, man?
I'm fantastic. And you know, Doc, I want to tell you something. Like, this past week, I was in Zimbabwe, and I told you the reaction that people have got to our episodes, me and yourself, is very humbling, especially the way people speak about you and the love that they express for the care that you have for the people in Zimbabwe. Don't think it's lost to me what is happening in Zimbabwe, how people feel, how people live. These are things that are clear to me. But sometimes maybe you don't understand. But let's get straight into the topic. How have you been, Doc? What have you been up to?
No, Gabako, I've been very well, and a very good evening to the viewers. And I should say, Gambakwe, look, why I also have conversations with you is because you're a journalist. You probe, you have to go deeper into, into issues, you analyze. And of course, as a journalist, it's something that probably people have to understand, that as a journalist, sometimes you ask those difficult questions, or you have to take, that approach which others may think is against something. But I've always appreciated it, because journalism has to be that. It doesn't have to be straitjacketed at times. But I was happy when I was listening to your analysis yesterday as you spoke, and you were saying that, we are going towards election. And I think it's time to change even the way you approach, the topics we deal with. And to this evening, I'm extremely happy, not astounded though, because that topic is quite what people should see, because that's what's happening on the ground. So Gambakwe, for you, I always respect you for being a journalist that you are, and not scratching the surface.
Yeah, Doc. So let's look at Chamisa. In 2018, I spent a lot of time analyzing Chamisa. There's no one that I understand more than Chamisa. Maybe people don't know this. Chamisa is a very humble person, and you can see that if he was to become president, I wouldn't be surprised if the situation that is happening in Zambia now was to happen in Zimbabwe. It's tomorrow I'm going to be looking at the Zambia experience, and that is exactly what people are looking for. There is a certain desire among Zimbabweans when I'm working within Zimbabwe, what they communicate to me, and the deep pain that they are feeling economically is apparent. So I want us to look at Chamisa's recent surge in popularity. If you look at Chamisa and how popular he's become over the past, specifically the past 2 months, there's been a massive change in the way the country is looking at Chamisa. And I'm not talking here from the air. I'm talking about things that I see on the ground. The first time I went in, about a year ago, then I went again. I've been to Zimbabwe 6 times over the past year, which means every 2 months I'm in Zimbabwe. Doc, what I've seen is that the atmosphere has changed. What do you attribute this change in the country, especially as far as Chamisa is concerned?
Thank you very much, Gambakwe, for that question. And actually, I should appreciate your shirt. I love your shirt, particularly the collars and other parts of it.
It's coincidental.
I just said I love your shirt. I love your shirt. But look, I don't want to attribute Advocate Chamisa's support to the last 2 months alone. Remember, this is a young leader that has so far gone through the calls or through the heat of ZANU-PF kind of behavior. When he was leader of the MDC alliance, we saw what he came under. But I want to speak to his reaction and to what kind of leadership he has shown over that time. Remember, this was a leader of a political party that almost came into power in 2018. I mean, this was after the demise, of course, of Dr. Richard Morgan Tsvangirai, and he came to power. He came to be the leader of the MDC alliance, and ever since he got in there, we have seen a spirited attempt to discredit him from both within and without. I'm saying within because it would seem from hindsight we now have the wisdom of those people who were working close. Some were close to Tsvangirai and then got to work close to Nelson Chamisa, who literally then showed their colors that in fact they were not part of the change train, and probably they were seeded within that party to cause some sort of destabilization. We saw how everything was sequestrated from Nelson Chamisa and the MDC alliance, from the political party finances which they were due to them, to their headquarters, that is the Morgan Tsvangirai building. It was taken, which was a symbol of opposition politics in Zimbabwe, actually. And we saw even how the judiciary was used to decimate everything that represented opposition. What I'm going to speak to is, how did Advocate Nelson Chamisa react? He showed leadership. This thing is about opposition in Zimbabwe, is about leadership. And people were looking to an alternative that is real. Nelson Chamisa kept quiet, but kept the faith in the fact that the people of Zimbabwe are looking for real change in Zimbabwe. And we have seen him over all that period when he totally had nothing. And people were crying to say, can he speak? Can he say something? He kept quiet. Sometimes silence is a message. But one thing that he did was to stand up to what he believed in, that there would be change. We even saw when now he came to the realization that a new formation, which has a totally new ethos, has to be formed, and the CCC was formed. And when that happened, we saw the rallies that have happened. If the numbers we saw are anything to go by, that Zimbabweans endorsed him as the leader, as the new leader of the opposition, despite all that had happened. And we saw it all happening up until the 26th of March, within those by-elections, in which he won about 19 or 20 seats out of about was it 28 or so? That was a landslide, if you'd ask me. So that we saw that the people were with him, the people were with his leadership. They literally endorsed his leadership. So what we are seeing again, Gambakwe, in the recent by-elections is actually a continuation of what we have seen, that the people of Zimbabwe have always wanted a consistent leadership that would show that they are giving an alternative to what is there. And Advocate Nelson Chamisa, even in the face of all the opposition we have seen roadblocks, we have seen attempts at his life, we have seen spirited attempts to, to make sure that all his supporters are either jailed, are violated, and his message has remained the same, that of peace, that of development, that let's take Zimbabwe in another direction apart from this. And these recent elections are actually a continuation of what we are seeing. And I was listening to your analysis, which I thought was very much on point. We see ZANU-PF losing in its own strongholds, even against all the odds. What are the odds? The odds are that even as they try to campaign in these areas, they are restricted. We see the police action that they restrict the CCC from doing whatever. But the people of Zimbabwe, the voter, is getting an opportunity to speak, to voice and say, who is the leader that we want? And to answer your question directly on why is Chamisa getting this popular, it's not starting from now, but people want leadership that they can trust. They want a leadership in which they can have confidence. That's why we have said in Zimbabwe today, the crisis we have is the crisis of confidence. Do people have the confidence in the current leaders? And it's not there. There is poverty of confidence. There is no confidence at all in the current leadership. But Advocate Nelson Chamisa, who is the alternative, he's giving pointers to what leadership should be. And that's why we have seen even the upsurge of this support in what is previously ZANU-PF strongholds in Bulilima, and Advocate Nelson Chamisa getting the rewards there.
Okay, Doc, I don't want us to keep going. It's clear to me. There has been a big, massive shift. And if a ZANU-PF guy is watching me, or ZANU-PF guys are watching me, they should not take this lightly. A person like me does not observe lies, because I'm on the ground with the people. And what I've seen also specifically is the lack of the edge. ZANU-PF has lost its edge over the past 2 to 3 months in terms of communication. If you look at what they were doing in the past, ZANU-PF was on top. Their social media was on point. It seems like someone or something happened within the ZANU-PF structures. And whoever was spearheading this communication, this efficient communication, was removed or is no longer there. Now you see more communication coming from Office of the President, Minister of Information. It's almost as if the ZANU-PF guys, the senior guys, have withdrawn themselves, or they're doing a mini boycott of some sort. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm sure eventually we're going to find out what's happening in ZANU-PF. I see a loss of focus within ZANU-PF, and I think Chamisa can easily capitalize on that weakness in ZANU-PF. And also, you can see that the communication coming out of CCC has improved immensely within the past few months. Let's look at what has happened during the past 2 to 3 by-elections. You can see that CCC was on point. Chamisa is all over the place. They are getting their message out, even under those restrictions that were mentioned. So I think there are many, many factors. And let's see. In your view, how would this impact the elections in 2023? What do you think is going to happen there?
No, Gambakwe, actually you raise very important issues here of what has happened. I mean, from your viewpoint, and if you ask me, I would say violence by its nature cannot be sustainable. Of course, ZANU-PF has used it. They can brag and say we've used it for 42 years. But, you know, things are changing. And violence can never be sustainable as a method or a tool of winning power in Zimbabwe. Remember, as we shift from the liberation politics, the liberation struggle is a very important epoch in the life of the country as Zimbabwe. But you cannot continue to use it, firstly, as an election manifesto, but secondly, to use your experience in the liberation struggle against the modern day voter. So violence itself, which is an export from the liberation struggle, which ZANU-PF has always used, it has expired. It can't be sustainable. The young voter today wants something that is tangible. They want a job. They want food on their table. They want better education. They want better healthcare. And ZANU-PF, for them to continuously think that what other dictators have failed on, which is using violence, they can do it better. It can't be. It honestly can't be, because history, by its nature, it teaches us history, it teaches us lessons, and it has got a knack of repeating itself. So ZANU-PF will still go through what other dictatorships have gone if they continue on this path. But secondly, the arrogance of power. I've always listened to the communicators in ZANU-PF. You have to listen to Chris Mtrangwa when he talks. Of course, he brags of being a loquacious speaker, of being, he has got such verbal diarrhea that when you listen to him, what you feel is not his message, but the arrogance that comes out of him. And you can see the entitlement that he owns. Him and his ilk seem to think that they own this country. In as much as people can respect them for having participated in a liberation struggle which was supposed to emancipate people and give them the freedom, he has not moved from that. He has got the sense of entitlement that because we fought for the country, therefore we are entitled. Listen to his their little recruit in Tafadzwa Mugwadi, that's his name. If you hear him speak, he seems to speak as if, the arrogance that comes from him is because he's close to power. The young man is so empty of political thought, of thought leadership, so that when he answers, he literally parrots the same arrogance that comes from the top. And in today's age, you can't communicate like that. And he's a young leader in there as a director of information. I would have thought he would change the kind of communication. The likes of Jonathan Moyo, they communicated to issues, to philosophies. But with Mugwadi, there is nothing. It's emptiness. It's hollow speeches. So there is totally no communication. But if you look on the other side, the Triple C, the communication has been consistent as to what kind of Zimbabwe do we need. And that's what the Zimbabwean needs to, they need to hear. And again, factionalism in ZANU-PF, of course, has to be a bigger part of it. The ZANU-PF, I've always said, ever since 2014, when we saw the ejection of the likes of Mujuru, that's when the disintegration of ZANU-PF actually took a fast track. And we've seen when Bomaimi Juru were ejected, we saw the coup with the G40 being ejected. That was a process which was in the making. And for anyone to think that the coup ended factionalism in ZANU-PF, it's a daydream. So that factionalism is soared. It has now, it has grown now. It has reached its peak. So ZANU-PF cannot have a coherent message, even if they're saying that is a very hollow statement, which one day I think I want us to unpack it. But ZANU-PF has never known democracy. So for them, any dissenting voice, even within, internally in ZANU-PF, would be treated as opposition to them. And that all that has caused ZANU-PF not to be able to understand what kind of communication they should have to the modern voter, because the modern voter, the young voter, does not at all believe in violence, except those young people. They buy beer, they buy drugs to do whatever they do, but all that is going away. So you are very right, Gambakwe, that ZANU-PF has failed to change, has failed to transform into a modern political party. It is stuck in liberation politics, which is you know, based on violence and arrogance and on entitlement, and therefore they haven't changed their speech, they haven't changed their message to the current voter. But the Triple C, once it came as a new party on the 24th of January, they have said, we are a new thing. They even have tried to change the MDC politics. And what we see are the citizens being at the center of everything. And therefore, it is beginning to yield results. And this is what we are going to see pan out in 2023. And I hope ZANU-PF can learn a lesson that it's no longer violence that works today. It's no longer abductions. It's no longer beating people. It's no longer arrests that we see up to today that can win them an election. It is the messaging, and not only messaging, but it is because they've been in power for too long, and they even have the opportunity today to do for Zimbabweans what they want to promise for the election. So Zimbabweans are not looking to promises from a ruling party. What they are looking for from a ruling party is for the ruling party to point and say, here is what we are doing for you. Here is what we have done for you. Here is what we will continue to do for you if you vote for us. But what they have seen is that, no, they lie. They are lying to them. They even try to say, to point to a stone and say, this is bread. This is what they do when they tell you that we are constructing infrastructure, we are making roads, we are doing this. I just want you to come to Botswana and see what they have done within a short period of time of 2 years. They've built ring roads. They've built, you know, state-of-the-art roads, constructing new roads, not these funny things that they are doing. The Zimbabweans, because they are well-traveled, they are everywhere. They know what the truth is. So ZANU-PF has to now start not only to message a correct political message, but also to be seen to be doing the right things that the current voter is looking at.
Okay, Doc, I want to add one thing, which I think many people have not realized, that the foundation on which President Mnangagwa has built his government, which is the civil servants and the appointed heads of departments, they are terribly letting him down. If you look at most of the service delivery that is supposed to be happening, and I've specifically spoken about the situation at Bedbridge border, and I think most of you saw what was happening this week. The way that they are frustrating people there who are coming into the country, it's almost as if they are deliberately doing it to stop people from coming in. And this spreads through the government. And I think this is one of the reasons why young people are increasingly getting frustrated with the lack of connection to reality on the ground. Take, for example, the issue at the Reserve Bank. How many times we've pointed out that there must be cash in the bank, that there must be a stable currency and all these things. It's almost as if no one is listening to those messages, even if they're coming from within ZANU-PF. And I think that is one of the main reasons why young Zimbabweans are totally turning against ZANU-PF, especially the ZANU-PF message over the past 2 months. I cannot believe what has happened. It's almost as if the guys inside ZANU-PF have quit. They've silently quit and they've walked away, and no one is attending to the business of communicating. It's funny to me when I look at ZANU-PF now. It's almost as if it's not there. It's not the ZANU-PF that was there 6 months ago. This is very, very strange. And I don't know if guys don't see it, or the guys who are in charge in ZANU-PF don't see it. But it's almost as if ZANU-PF has silently gave up. They're no longer trying like they were trying before.
Gambagwe, you know, today when you speak, I'm actually quite very impressed. It seems that there is a Damascus moment that has arrived on you as well. But this is exactly what we have always said, that the politics of tribesmen, the politics of putting those that, you know, who are related to you, the politics of ethnicism doesn't work. When you know, undertake to be a leader of a country, a leader of a nation, you have to have the nation at heart and put people on basis of merit, those people who are capable of delivery. But if you look at our government in Zimbabwe, at the government of comrade, rather not comrade, but the government of ED, you will realize that it is a government that is based on people that he knows, the people who are connected. And these are not people who are there on merit, but they are there to be part and parcel of the looting, to be part and parcel of you know, eating whatever comes on the table. And they are, the end game is that every one of them wants to be in power as well. They would want to be where ED is, and he doesn't realize. But from day one, had he decided that he has to build Zimbabwe on the basis of inclusion, not exclusionary politics, he would be at a better position. Because remember, a lot of people trusted him when he got into power. But right now, even those who are close to him, they realize that, what did we trust? Who is this person we trusted? Because there is not at all in him the, you know, that push to say we need to build this country. It is all about jobs for the boys, and that cannot be sustainable. And that is why today, with the messaging that the CCC is giving, with the messaging that you know, Advocate Nelson Chamisa's alternative party is giving, it is easy for Zimbabweans to realize, where can we get a respite? Where can we get the proper leadership we need? And you mentioned Zambia earlier. Obviously, some of us, I will tell you, I feel jealous to see Zambia, you know, developing the way it is, because I know that Zimbabwe has capable leaders, far more capable in this region, because we are the most literate, educated, and even knowledgeable people. And simply because we have got liberation heroes who have failed to understand that their time has come and they should go and rest and let the current generation lead, we could be so far. I wonder how much time it is going to take us to even rebuild this country, because they have totally disappointed all of us. They have reduced us to nothing, yet we know we can be something. They have invested in the politics of egotism, politics of entitlement, in which they think that no one else should come close to power. But we know why they are doing that. It is because they are scared. They are afraid of what they have done, of the atrocities. But they must understand that the history of Zimbabwe is such that we have always moved on. Though, of course, as we move on now, there has to be some sort of, you know, of healing, reconciliation, and proper revisiting things that have happened, which they continue to do. They are scared to get out of that seat, but they should. I mean, I think that the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa now should be reassuring that as we come in as the new administration, our intention is not to move back, but to be more progressive. So it's sad, actually, Gambakwe, where our country is. In fact, I was also saddened by, I just want to add that I was saddened by the president here in this country, who, when he came to Zimbabwe recently, instead of, he knows, I know how Zimbabweans here in Botswana even, wish to go back to a better country in Zimbabwe. In as much as there is no xenophobia, there is no treatment such as is in South Africa. But most Zimbabweans here also wish that there could be better governance back home. But for the president here to come to Zimbabwe, whatever the kind of politics he is trying to pursue, and then he was all speaking about him having friendship with the Zimbabwean government. I thought that was a shame, because Botswana itself, they are trying. I'll tell you, they are really trying, because they are coming into an election. They are trying to push out as many foreigners as possible from this country, and they know very well that it is a boiling issue here. But for him to go to Zimbabwe and fail to confront the administration in Zimbabwe about the real issues which are affecting not only Zimbabwe, South Africa, but also Botswana and the region, it was shocking for me. It's actually shocking many analysts here, and many people I meet. They are wondering what kind of foreign policy is Botswana, taking.
Okay, let's get out with my favorite song, Doc, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, I can't stop laughing at this thing, man.
I'm beginning to like the new Gambakwe, I should say.
You know what?
Yeah.
Those who know me very well, they know what I'm capable of. This is just a warning. Yes. So okay. I think those who understand what I'm doing, they know that if I give you a warning once and I give you a warning twice, the third time I drop you. That's how I do.
I think that's right messaging right there. I've heard you. I've understood you as well.
Like when Chamisa's guys blocked me in Pretoria, I went with after them for a year. I can do it. I can do it for 2 years.
That is the past. That is the past. Let's forget about that.
I'm just trying to explain to you that I'm a very nice guy. Like, I'm sure Chamisa's guys know that I'm a very nice guy. But when they blocked me in Pretoria, I just had to show them that that's not democracy. And it doesn't matter who you are and what you are. You have to be decent. So I like the new Chamisa. I like Chamisa's way of doing things. And I'm sure if he became president, I would be able to conduct my business freely in Zimbabwe with respect. People will respect each other. There will be growth and they'll be listening. What we have now, the problem with what we have now at the current moment is people have stopped listening. And I think, Doc, what you do here every week is to remind people. So, I spend the whole time with ZANU-PF guys and all that. There will be time when time is correct and right, when I will explain what is wrong with what's happening in ZANU-PF and why President Mnangagwa is fighting against a whole system already by himself. Not even the guys in ZANU-PF are happy at the moment. And this needs to be addressed because the way our country is, and as I tell you, I'm in Zimbabwe every 2 months. And every month I go, it gets worse for the guys, for the young guys. And this is why, obviously, we need to make a change. As time goes towards the election, it's my duty to be on both sides and to make sure that people understand what's going on. And Brian, thank you very much for giving me some money there. So that is it, Doc. Really, we can be very effective as a platform. And yourself, Senator Pugeni, you bring a different voice here. Similarly, Jonasi, when he comes here, although he bashes my hair, I let him speak here. And as the elections come, I'm going to be there on the ground in Zimbabwe, doing my job. And it's going to be very, very nice. So, Doc, let's wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to say before we close? Touch on Dr. Kupe. Very hard-working lady. What should they do for her?
No, I think credit should go to Advocate Nelson Chamisa. You know, ever since, I mean, I know there was a lot of talk, there was a lot of voices, even from those people that one would say he respected, he listened to, which were saying, never accept, Madam Kupe back into the CCC. And there was a lot of outcry as well from various people who were, injured emotionally by what she had done, especially at that split that occurred. But look at Advocate Nelson Chamisa. He showed leadership, and that is the kind of leadership we need. And definitely, because Madame Kupe, Dr. Kupe is one person that had worked with Dr. Morgan Richard Trangrai, and there is no doubt that she remains as one of the repositories of knowledge of opposition politics, and also she understands the dynamics of opposition. And I'm sure working with a young and dynamic leader like Advocate Nelson Chamisa, it has to be effective. And thanks to Advocate Nelson Chamisa, he has allowed time to heal, and now Dr. Kupe is very much acceptable even to those people who were not accepting of what had happened. I'm not accusing you of having done anything, but that acrimonious divorce that they had people who supported Advocate Nelson Chamisa and the like. But the fact that she came in and Advocate Nelson Chamisa was at the forefront of accepting her, it shows the kind of leader that he is. And I'm sure, true, if they continue working together like that, that is exactly the Zimbabwe that we want. And they've already shown leadership. And I'm sure with her working on the ground, as well as other comrades who were already working, who are already deployed in the various parts of Zimbabwe, that should produce results come 2023. And I only hope that this kind of strategy from this so-called structuralist party can continue to yield results that we have seen. In Zimbabwe, such has never been seen, that an opposition wins by-elections the way that the CCC is doing. Under ZANU-PF and against the MDC, this has never happened. And so we are beginning to see new things. We're beginning to see, something coming up. And our only hope is that they keep on the work they are doing and let this culminate into a bigger victory in 2023. And I can only urge voters, young and old, to go out there, register to vote when there is opportunity, and go and vote on voting day, and obviously defend the vote. And I think we can have a new Zimbabwe in which we can have a new administration, and people can have a respite once more.
All right, thank you very much, Doc, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Let's talk again next week. There's been so much that happened this week, and I would have wanted to hear your opinions on the election petition in Kenya, but I think let's leave that to other people. I'll be back here with you next week. Thank you very much, Doc, and good night to everybody.
Thank you, Gambakwe, and good night to the viewers. Uyo, uko, kuno.
I know